Hey, good people, Davia here, and welcome to another episode of Tales from the Shaker. As always, I hope I don't sound like a broken record, but I am excited every time I get to have a special person in the chair, and I've been, in my own opinion, I've been killing it. My friends are very, very special, and it just pleases me to be able to share them with you, share their talent, share their accomplishments, and just let you in on our friendship. And so I have today Miss Kalyn Johnson Chandler. I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. I don't know where to cut, so I might be reading for a few minutes. I tried to think about what to do with this, but you're going to know who she is anyway. So Kalyn Johnson Chandler is the founder and creative force behind the signature papery Effie's Paper, Stationery, and Whatnot. Following a 10-year legal career as an environmental transactional lawyer at Jones Day, Kalyn returned to her first love, fashion, in 2007. And at that time, she launched Style by Kalyn, a style consultancy focused on personal branding for men and women in the corporate arena. Her client roster included television news anchors, attorneys, physicians, and other professionals. Now a self-taught graphic designer, and I remember the beginning. We could talk about that a little bit. She extended her intrinsic fashion sense into a distinct lifestyle brand focusing on desk accessories and travel products, named after her grandmother, Mrs. Effie Hayes, that features a signature design aesthetic of bright, bold colors and witty sayings. We say bon mots over here. Although named after Kalyn's grandmother, Effie Stationery and Whatnot is not your grandmother's stationery company. It is not. There's some sassy
definitely
products, sayings. I really have a whole thing I'm going to do with your sock line. I've got some folk that I think will embody some of the sayings of your sock line.
I love that.
I can't wait. And I've shared with y'all previously that, your notebooks are a big deal to me. I have lots of notebooks and they're inspirational to me. The products reflect Kalyn's belief that the future is female and is being shaped by the power of Black girl magic. Should I say that one more time?
I mean, it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. And you are the epitome of that. You display that in everything you do.
Thank you, friend.
I'm proud. All right, I'm going to skip something. Let's see. Okay, y'all need to know this. Kalyn and Effie's Paper have been featured in a variety of publications, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, Good Housekeeping, BuzzFeed, Black Enterprise, the New York Post, Essence Magazine, HGTV, Apartment Therapy. She was featured on the Today Show, and a bunch of other stuff. Clever Girl Finance, Save Money, Build Wealth. There's a lot of places. I'm going to post her bio on my website. I really want you to know all the many lives that you can have, all the many aspects of a personality that you can develop, and we'll talk about that some more. Okay, she also is an author of what we're calling a cult classic, the BAP Handbook. Do y'all know, for the uninitiated, do you know what a BAP is? Black American Princess Handbook. And I'm hoping there may be another iteration. It's the official guide to the Black American Princess. And she is an alum of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Owners Program, something like that.
Business program.
Girl, I can't. Okay. Because I really want to talk to you.
I've lived a lot of life.
You've done a lot of things, and I'm so proud. Now you live between Miami and New York City with your husband, who is an age-old friend of mine, holds a bachelor's in English, a Juris Doctor for the University of Michigan, and a master's in public policy studies from the University of Chicago. And y'all, I skipped at least a paragraph and a half, not because it isn't very interesting, but because I really want to get to our conversation. I want you to get to know the person behind all the stats and all the accolades. And this is my girl, Kalyn. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been hearing about this podcast. I've been listening to it. And now I'm like in the chair.
I've been wanting you in the chair from the beginning. But I thought, with a resume like this, let me wait till I know I got my stuff together. And you're in Ohio. We don't have a travel budget yet, but we're working on that as these sponsorships roll in. Okay, so, lady, we were talking about, as we're making our drinks, just some of the fun things we've done together in life, how we got to be friends. I think I told you, share with the audience that her husband actually has been my friend since childhood. Mm-hmm. I think Todd was 8 and I was 9 at Paradise Baptist Church Children's Choir in Oklahoma City. That's where I met Todd, and love him dearly. So when he brought Kalyn around, the community was convinced that we wanted you. And we were like, what can we do not to lose this one? Because this is the one we want for Todd. This is the one we want for us. And we're so thrilled that he made the right choice and that you agreed and that we have you to ourselves now. And you and I have developed, I think, a very special sisterhood. I love you to pieces.
We have. And I have to be honest, it never occurred to me that when I met my spouse, I was also going to make lifelong friends. Of course, I figured, oh yeah, I'll meet his friends, he'll meet my friends. But I didn't know that I would gain a bestie almost like a sister, or like a sister, I shouldn't say almost like a sister, through the process. And I think that's really been one of the wonderful things about marriage, that you just don't quite know what to expect.
And you gotta be open.
I was gonna say, you just gotta be open to the possibilities and go with the flow.
Yeah. One of the things you say, and I love it, when you talk about Todd, is that you married adventure.
I did.
Yeah.
I absolutely married adventure.
Yes.
If you know my husband,
okay. Yeah. No, I love him dearly. We've shared some really amazing experiences together. We've walked through some tough times together. The title, of course, of my podcast is Tales from the Shaker, and one of the shakers is the cocktail shaker. And we talk about how we were kind of introduced or shamed into.
I don't like the word shame.
I know, but that's how we felt. We're like, oh my God, we don't know how to make a cocktail. Culture by you and Todd, and apparently I think we're pretty good studies, pretty quick studies.
Y'all. Once you decided to get on board. You got on board.
So today, and I'll tell you about what we're drinking. Actually, Kalyn made our cocktail for us today, and it is quite delicious. It's a new one for me as well. So, as always, I will tell you what it is and give you the recipe as we toast the end of our conversation. So, as we were chatting earlier, we're like, well, what are we going to talk about? I says, I don't know. Is there anything we shouldn't talk about? Let's start there. Let's just open the conversation and see where it goes. One of the things that I appreciate about you as I was reading your bio is all of the many iterations, right? You had a master's degree and a law degree from prestigious universities and practiced law, environmental law at that, for a number of years. And how did you make the flip, the twist, the pivot, the change?
I am the queen of the pivot. I am the queen of the pivot.
Queen of the pivot. I love it.
Life is short. And it is certainly too short to do things that don't feed your soul, or maybe a better way to put it is things that suck the life out of you. I went into the practice of law thinking I would practice for 2 or 3 years, to learn how to practice, make good on my investment. And I ended up practicing a lot longer than I thought. I practiced for almost 11 years. But when it came time to go, it was time to go. I mean, I had a hard time leaving, and Todd was instrumental in helping me get over that hump. And then I segued into entrepreneurship, knowing nothing about owning a business. I started my fashion styling business because people told me that's what I should do. I love style and fashion. And I was always the friend or family member. Girl, I'm going to this event tomorrow night. I'm in the dressing room. I'm taking some pictures. What do you think? Or can you meet me at Bloomie's and help me pick something out? And so it was a natural segue in many respects. But as much as I love style and fashion, what I learned is that I don't love helping other people get dressed, because we all have body conscious issues, no matter how small or big we are. And I ended up being more of a psychologist or psychiatrist in holding people's hands and, assuring them that they looked good. And it's okay that you're spending money to help somebody help you look good. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't know who else in your circle may be doing the same thing. But it just became wearing on me. And it took away my joy from fashion and style. And so as I was kind of thinking about okay, I've tried this, not quite sure this is what I really want to do, I kept thinking about what I really love, which has always been stationery and paper products. And I thought, this is probably the thing I should segue into. Now, it also helped that we were planning our wedding at the time and had hired a graphic designer who was based in London. And her printers were in India. We were getting married just before monsoon season, and so she needed me to find a printer in New York. And going through that process, I learned a lot about art directing. I learned about just the other side of the paper business and became very intrigued. And then I would say 6-7 months after our wedding, I was writing thank you notes, and I just didn't have stationery that I loved. The only stationery I loved that made my heart leap was our wedding stationery. And in that moment, it was sort of that aha that Oprah talks about. I had my aha moment and was like, you know what? I'm going to have a stationery company. That is what I've always wanted. And the name came naturally because my grandmother worked for a greeting card company when my sister and I were little. And we always had stationery. We had a stash of stationery at my grandparents' house. We had a cabinet filled with paper products. And that was sort of it. And, here we are 10 plus years later.
So I'm trying to listen to those details, and all I am flashing back to is your wedding. Listen, I don't know if you're familiar with when Jamie Foxx got the Oscar for, I think it was for Ray. He wanted to thank his first acting teacher, which was his grandmother, who said, act like you've got some sense, act like you've been somewhere, act like. That's how Eric and I felt at this wedding. I know that you have a fascination with India, and your wedding was, and there are certain cultures that have days-long events, and yours was a destination wedding, and it was days-long events. And can I tell you, the textiles, the tablecloths, the attention to detail, the DJ, the party after the wedding, the rehearsal dinner. Eric and I kept like, who's next? Do you think, who is it going to be? We thought maybe you might even have Earth, Wind, and Fire, or was Jay-Z going to come out?
Girl.
No, it was, okay, for us at that time, that was, we were trying to act like we'd been somewhere.
Anyway.
It was an absolutely beautiful wedding. All that you and Todd are in spite of, or in addition to, I should say, all of the style and the opulence and the beauty of the flowers and the beauty of the people. Your people were beautiful. Your friends are beautiful. All of it, the warmth, the watching you enjoy being a bride was next level. You embodied that thing.
I
honey.
did.
You
Look,
did.
I was like, I'm doing this one time.
I know that's
I'm going to do it big. I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to have a good time.
And it was beautiful. So when you're talking about loving stationery, I'm remembering the tablecloths, the dinner tablecloths. And I think those were, did you design them, or they were specially
didn't design
designed?
them, but we had them fabricated for the wedding.
Yeah. It was absolutely beautiful. And so when you started talking about having a stationery company and becoming a graphic designer and learning that process, it seemed pretty natural based on what I'd seen.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a learning curve.
Oh,
for sure.
there was a learning curve,
Yeah.
but I hired a young woman to teach me Illustrator. And after about 4 sessions, she said, look, this is not rocket science. You are a creative person. You can figure this out, but you have to put some time into it. Sit down at the computer and just do the work. And so I took her at her word, and I gave myself a month. I found an online course, and every day from like 10 to 5, I sat at my desk and I taught myself how to become a graphic designer. And at the end of that month, I knew enough to be dangerous. And so, I mean, that's many years ago. And I am sure there are things I learn every week, no doubt. But I've got the fundamentals, and I've surrounded myself with good people. If I can't figure something out, Google can be your best friend, YouTube University, and then, my network. So, but it was a natural segue.
And I remember that first line. I actually still have some of the personalized stationery from that first line. You named a lot of the designs after places in South Africa. We went to South Africa together. And although one of the purple, I think it was called boudoir. It was like
so the boudoir in the Paris was in the bedroom.
Yeah.
That was the first line, and then the second line was South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just that safari and just that whole trip was it was beautiful and inspiring, and just I felt like I needed to capture that in a way that I hadn't seen done before with a product like stationery.
No, really neat. One of the things that I think is a wonderful feature of our friendship is all of the places we've traveled. We've been to Africa twice.
Yeah.
We've been to
Asia,
Europe a couple times. Where all have we been? And
Italy,
well, one of the early trips was Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So much fun. That was our first time there. That was so much fun. That was our cocktail debut.
It was, because you needed to have, every family needed to had a cocktail night where not only were you serving dinner, but you were serving cocktails to kick off the meal.
Yep.
And that's when you all were like, cocktail?
We went to school and perfected one cocktail, and we were so proud of our one cocktail. A French martini, vodka martini.
Well, and now we're on the gin
and pineapple juice, and it was that was really, really fun. Yeah, we've had some amazing trips. We haven't talked about this year. I think Todd kind of changed his mind because you've got a new property and you're doing some remodeling, and so Eric and I are like, we don't know where we're going because Todd didn't tell us where we're going.
Todd has not planned the trip this year.
Todd has not planned a trip this year. We might have to be grown-ups and figure out if we want to take a vacation and plan our own trip. So we got to talk about that because it's getting late, So you went into certainly the stationery and whatnot that expanded from stationery to other items, right? You have
We've got mugs. Yeah, I was going to say we have travel mugs. We've got apparel, T-shirts, baseball hats, sweatshirts, phone necklaces, phone charms, silk turbans, twillies, silk scarves. I mean, we kind of have everything that women need sort of from the moment you wake up until you go to bed. It's stuff that you use on a day in, day out basis. Our stuff is just prettier. And, I like pretty.
Yeah, you do.
But we are pretty with a purpose. And the purpose with respect to our products is to inspire, empower, and motivate women throughout the day. Why we're all going to sit down and write a to-do list. We're going to take notes on a Zoom call or in a meeting. Why have an ugly pen or a notebook that you really don't care about when you could have one that makes you feel good every time you pick it up? Or, and have a pen that not only writes beautifully, but looks beautiful when it's sitting there on your desk or in your hand.
Why not?
I'm just saying.
Well, no, I love it. So I know that you have done the retail space, and I know you've moved into some wholesaling as well. What's next? I know you don't stay still too long.
So
what are you thinking?
We keep adding spokes. So we do direct to consumer from effyspaper.com. We are sold in about 450 stores around the country. We have done big boxes, Walmart and Home Goods in particular. And the newest spoke for us is elevated swag with corporations. So we've been really lucky to work with companies like Bank of America, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Google. It runs the gamut. I mean, it's been an interesting experience working with large corporations and helping them create swag that their guests or employees might actually want to have. nobody really wants a pair of socks that say Bank of America on them. I mean, are they happy to have them on some level? Yes. But they'd rather have a notebook or a pair of socks that are fun, that are going to make them smile when they use it, because they'll remember who they received it from. So that's been a fun dance. And then the other thing that I've started doing, I've been doing this for a while now, this meaning running a small business, is I've started coaching other small business owners one-on-one. Yeah. And that's been really rewarding.
Yeah. So how did you even, it just seems like there is such a, what do you call it, another arm or another finger or another touch from your business, but they're not all, they take some vision, like to leap from getting your product in a big box to coaching entrepreneurs to writing the BAP handbook to, like, they're tangential, but they're not direct leaps. And so what is it about your brain?
I don't know. Clearly I'm a little bit scattered.
That lets you do all these things and do all these things well, or have the courage to try a new thing.
Like I said, life is short.
Yeah.
And so when opportunities present themselves, I really do take a hard look to figure out which opportunities are going to make the most sense for me and for my business. Not every opportunity is the right opportunity, and I have certainly agreed to become a part of something and then been like, ooh, this was not the best thing for me to do. Mm-hmm. I might lose money on this venture. But you don't know that until you actually do some of these things, and you learn and you figure out what does work and what doesn't work. So, for example, going into this corporate arena, it wasn't something I had really thought about. One, because I didn't even know how to tap into it. But, my husband kept saying, you could do, like, your stuff is nice. You could make nice stuff that these law firms or these companies could be giving to their employees. You should start pitching them. Well, okay, great, but who do I pitch? But then someone reached out to me and said, hey, I was gifted one of your notebooks. I really like it. How many can you do? And is there a way we could put our logo on there somehow? And that was for me like, oh, okay, this is doable. I can do this. I can figure this out. I've got relationships with my vendors now. I know what my numbers need to be. And it just has kind of flowed from there. And getting those first couple of opportunities gave me the confidence to then start going out and pitching for it and showing people what I can do and how it's different or perhaps even better than what they've currently been using. But it took somebody coming to me first in that instance. Wholesale makes sense because you want to get as many eyes on your products as you can. And so segueing into wholesale, and then from wholesale that leads to opportunities with big box stores.
I'm remembering the Walmart rollout and how we were calling friends around the country.
You guys were instrumental. Like, y'all, your husband was like, whatever I can do, sis, to help you out with this. And he was magnificent. Like, that was amazing. And so that's to say, though, if you look on social media, I am the reluctant face of the brand. May not seem that way. But this is not just me. This is my friends and family, and then obviously the people who work in the business. Mm-hmm. If it weren't for the young ladies who work with me and for me, none of this would be possible. I'm very clear on that. And I make sure that they know that I know that, and that they know how appreciative I am of their efforts, because you can't do this alone. It's just not possible. I mean, look at our crew here today. Yeah. Okay. I mean, folks see amazing. You.
Yeah. They don't know there's several cameras and there was setup
and several people, more than several people.
Yeah. No, it's a whole production. I'm curious though, Kalyn, like we all have thoughts that we battle. Like one of my battles, I've said it before, is that I will often have this thought that my age is a limiting factor, right? Why are you starting at this time in life? Who do you think you are? Like, you're not that far behind Oprah, and you got a long way to go. Those kind of things, and I'm able to reframe that into, but what other time is better? I have right. I have time. I have resources. I have experience. I have things that I've been through, some things,
Right.
that I'm willing to share. But I still battle those thoughts. What are some of the beliefs, the limiting beliefs, or the lies, I would say, that you have to battle for your own, to push through to the next thing for you, to get up every day, to create, invent?
I have to think about today, like, what are my limiting thoughts? But I will say, when I started this business, and this still holds true today, the stationery world is a very white world. I mean, it's changed a lot. There are a lot of young ladies coming into the space now who look like me. But when I started, it was me. And when I said I'm the reluctant face of the brand, I am the reluctant face of the brand. My original social media manager was straight out of college. She started off as an intern and kind of segued into this role. And this was when, Instagram was brand spanking new. I didn't have time I was trying to learn how to be a graphic designer. I didn't have time to think about social media. And I just said, do whatever you want to do. I'm sure it'll be fine. And then I sat down and started looking at things. And once she noticed that I was paying attention, she said, look, I have been researching. People buy from other people.
Yeah.
And we need a face of the brand. I think it should be you. And I said, yeah, I think I'm a little bit too old. I'm a little bit too brown. And she said, you are not giving my generation credit. She said, you don't know who our family members are. You don't know who our friends are. You don't know who our love interests are. And I said, okay. She said, the other thing that you're discounting is you have a really interesting life. You do. And I think if you show people some of that, that will endear them to you and to this brand in a way that we don't know what could unfold. And I said, okay. And so, one of the things I do think about is I'm not a spring chicken. I play a millennial online, but I am certainly not one. And I look at some of my competitors who are younger or have budgets to have, photo shoots with all kinds of models of different age ranges and hues and whatnot. And so those are things I worry about. Those are things I think about. I was telling you that my niece has come on board. Yeah. I'm so excited because she's a new face to have with the products. We always have interns coming in and out of the business, and we use them a lot as models. But in my space, I think about the fact that I don't look like everybody else. And I've had things said to me by buyers, by licensing agents of, well, do you do anything but other than words? Like, do you illustrate? And I'm like, are you asking the white girls that? Because my stuff looks exactly like their stuff. I mean, I've had big boxes say things to me like, well, why don't you just put some kente cloth on it? Did you actually look at the pitch book we sent? That's not what I do. And I know you would not ask the white girl to do that. But you're looking at me, you're putting me in a box, and I'm pushing back against that. And so I have turned that kind of business down because it just didn't align with my values.
I tell you, to have the courage, though, to not fold, to not hide your blackness. I mean, I have a Black Girl Magic t-shirt. Right? I do. I have your, what is the notebook that I've bought so many of? That is that blog, Write It, that podcast started. Like, that's
Live
where
Life,
I wrote my Good Life. That is my favorite notebook. I think I have one that I haven't used left. And then, of course, Get Shit Done is one of them, too. Dream
Plan Do.
Dream Plan Do is on deck. That
I like
on deck
that.
for the next things. But so for people like me, those words matter. But when you say the future is female and is fueled by Black girl magic, and you sit on this podcast and you say, you say the question, do you ask the white girls that question? Do you fear a blowback? Are you concerned that there may be followers that you'll lose or a demographic that won't look at your product? Or you're like, well, the ones who...
Look, I do.
The right ones will find it.
I do, but I also, again, I'm a little bit older than some of my counterparts, and I am very resolute in who I am and what I am about. My social media is fairly political. I speak my mind. I am clear on who I am, on what I am about, on what I stand for. And if you don't stand with me, that's fine, but I may not be for you, and you may not be for me, and I'm okay with that.
I love that.
This past election cycle, I lost like 2,000 followers on Instagram. Okay. But everybody knows where we stand now.
Yeah. And I would imagine there's thousands more that will find you.
I certainly hope so, and come and buy our products.
Yeah, we love that. So we'll make sure that you know how to reach Kalyn. We'll have effyspaper.com and some other things on the production end of the podcast, because we want you to reach her. We want you to read about her. We want you to support her mission. We want you to be inspired. That's what we do this for. Like, there's something in this conversation as we learned about her business journey, how she keeps trying new things, how she's true to herself, and how she's okay with the fallout and the success as well. And I want you, there's someone out there that can relate to those steps, that will be inspired by those steps, and that you will go out and shake some things up in your own life. That's what I hope. We didn't rag. We could have talked about some travel experiences and whatnot. So we may need to pick that up next time. But I am so thrilled that you're here. We're going to have some fun this weekend.
We are
in town to have some fun this weekend. We're going to dress up and do some things. And I got to tell you about what we're drinking. So Kalyn made us martinis, Gibson martinis. So we used Tanqueray 10 gin, some, I don't know what vermouth we used, but a dry vermouth. And a little bit of onion juice, and these are cocktail onions. And I am telling you, I'd not had this. She's been drinking this lately as we've had dinner in different cities, and I hadn't tried it. And it is quite smooth and a bit sweet.
Well, it's sweet because of the onion we used. So what I like about this particular onion is the way that it's pickled. It's pickled in a way that I like, is probably the best way to put it. So, if you are going to try this for the first time, you've got to use tipsy onions. And then if it's too sweet for you, switch to something else perhaps. But I would start off with this.
Yeah, it's a grown up drink.
It's a grown up drink.
It's
alcohol forward
and a sweetness to it that I didn't expect. So I enjoyed it. So cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for making this drink for us. Good people. I know there was something you related to. Go out and change some things in your own life. All right. We'll talk to you soon.